Hello, welcome to Wilkinson Educational Studios Music and Piano Lab tutorials for piano students and teachers as well. My name is Harry Wilkinson, and in this short tutorial we're going to be talking about the big issue of practice, specifically how to effectively use your practice time. So one of the biggest issues, as I've said, is all about practicing. It's about finding time to practice, how much practice is appropriate, and resistance to practicing. You know, a lot of students don't particularly like practicing. Even musicians on a professional level have issues with practicing. Well, I have a theory about why that is and how to get around that. And that's something I will share with you at the end of this tutorial, as well as I will tell you about an upcoming online course on how to make practicing more effective and more fun. But we'll get to that later. First, I want to talk about our issue of practicing. So one of the first things students ask is, how much time should I be practicing? And of course, there's a standard answer for that. Most piano teachers will say something like 30 minutes a day. I have a standard answer which is slightly different. I generally make it relative to the number of pieces a student is playing. So if you have 4 or 5 pieces that you're working on with me, I would say, just as a rule of thumb, you should practice those pieces at least 3 to 4 times each day. So if you're a student that has simple pieces, 3 or 4 simple pieces, you're not going to be spending as much time practicing them as someone who's got 3 or 4 more complex pieces. You shouldn't. There's no need to over-practice. That's another issue. But that's basically the rule of thumb. However, it matters more, and this is the takeaway, it matters more how you practice than how much you practice. I mean, let's face it, people have very busy schedules. Even students, once they get past the 2nd and 3rd grade, young kids have these amazing schedules that I certainly never had when I was a kid, but that's neither here nor there. But these take time away from the possibility of you practicing, and particularly the possibility of you practicing straight through from, in a given period, like 30 minutes. Sometimes that's just not possible. So what happens? What do you do when you have to miss a practice time? What do you do? Now, some students try to pile up the missed practice time, and then they find a day when they've got some extra time, and they hit it, and they try to do an hour or 2 straight through of practicing. Even if you do practice 2 hours on that one day, and you make some progress, what will end up happening is you'll miss the next day, and the next day, and probably the next day. So that whatever progress you made in those 2 hours that, earlier in the week will probably evaporate. Much better and much more effective if you can find 5 to 10 minutes to practice, maybe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. If you're desperate and short on time, if you can do that, and you can do that, consistently 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to make much more progress. It's going to be much more effective than trying to pile it up and do it all at once. It's kind of like trying to eat once and for all. You can't do it. You have to have daily, recurring support and reinforcement from what you are doing. That's the key to effective practicing time. More important, as I've said, than the time issue is how you practice. How do you use that time? Let's say you're only getting that 5 or 10 minutes. You want to make the best use of it, right? So here's what you need to do. There's 3 main areas, and there's a lot more to talk about, which will be talked about in my online course, but just for now, there's 3 main areas. One is to isolate. Depending on the piece, whatever piece you're working on, really, whether it's a simple piece at a beginner's level or a more complex piece like for Elise here, what you need to do, certainly when you're first starting the piece, is to play hands separately. So look at the right hand, work through that. And if you're following my advice on practicing a song 3 to 4 times through, the first time through, do the right hand. Second time through, work on the left hand. Find out where the challenges are going to be. Find out the particular areas that are going to be, or you guess might be problematic for you. Then you can try to put hands together in certain areas that you think you can do it. When you're first starting a piece, you don't need to worry so much about hands together. Just maybe 2 times through on the right hand, 2 times through on the left hand. Now, as you get to know the piece and you put it hands together, what happens is a lot of students like to rush through this process, and they want to get it hands together immediately so that it sounds, like the piece. And while that is admirable, it's not the best for you're actually playing the piece the way you want to play it. Even when you have it hands together, even when you're playing it hands together, when you practice, you should always go back to isolating hands. First time through, right hand only. Second time through, left hand only, however you want to do it. But you will be surprised at the things that you'll catch, the differences you'll catch when you continue to do that. Then you can go back to playing it hands together. And you'll have a better sense of the different areas where you might be missing something. So that's one way to isolate. The other way to isolate is when you're looking at your piece and you're practicing your piece and you notice particular areas that are stumbling blocks for you. Isolate those parts. Maybe it's 2 or 3 measures. Isolate them. Make a marking on your piece or whatever, and then use them as drills. Use them as piano drills. So let's say you're having trouble with that portion of for Elise, which is a key part of it, but you keep stumbling on that, or you don't get the fingering. So do it slowly and repeatedly until you can do it without looking, like I'm doing. That's an effective way to take care of particularly troublesome parts in a piece. Tempo. Start slow. Don't rush. Students love to rush. They want to get it done. Take it easy. Take it slow. Then build the tempo gradually. And then mix it up. Have a little fun with it. So, one time start with the end of the piece. Maybe change the rhythm as you get to know the piece. Maybe you change the rhythm of the to make it a little more fun. Now, if you're working with a teacher, they may or may not want you to play it in a particularly different way, but you can always go back to playing it the way it's written. But you can have a lot of fun changing things up, and it also makes you much more comfortable in the piece. If you played with it and had fun with it and messed around with it and you come back to playing it the way it's written, you're going to be much more comfortable with the piece. So those are 3 important tips for making effective use of your practicing time. And as we know, practicing time can be precious when you can't find enough of it. So I hope that helps, and I would like to tell you now about my online tutorial. And here's my theory that I mentioned earlier in this tutorial. Practicing and resistance to practice is very much akin to, it's very similar to people's resistance to going to the gym. We know it's good for you, right? You know you want to work out, and maybe you've even paid a lot of money for a gym membership, and you go a couple of times and then you just, you don't come back. And the reason that you have resistance to something like going to the gym is, number 1, because it's hard work, and number 2, it's in your mind, you're thinking about it as a chore, as a must-do, as something I have to get through. And whenever you're thinking of something like that, you're not having fun, and you're going to have resistance to it. And you're going to find, oh gee, I just don't have the time to do that. Whereas if it's fun for you, if it's something you look forward to, right, you're going to find the time. You're not going to have a problem finding time with something you enjoy. You like going to see the movies, you'll find time to go see the movies, right? You like playing video games, you're going to find time to squeeze that in. So it's about making your workout, and in this case the piano workout, fun and doable and in small chunks that don't overwhelm you. So that's what my online course is about, how to do that, how to make practicing fun, something that you not only won't have resistance to, but you will actually enjoy and look forward to. And that's what it's about. You can find it at my website, which is wilkinsoneducationalstudios.org. And just click on the section that says online courses, and you'll find it there. It will be about a 45-minute course, and it will be going up shortly. So please, please keep in touch and keep checking back to see it when it comes up. And also check here, click on Music and Piano Labs for the next tutorial. And thanks so much for listening, and good luck in your practicing.